Hey guys, we're going to go over some different reasons why you should be indoors right now punching paper and the benefits that it's going to give you. So, man, when I kind of dove into this, I was always one of those guys like, I'm a bow hunter. I don't need to punch paper. Paper's stupid. But man, I'll tell you what, like, what paper has taught me is really, and this is, really basic entry level part of it. There's a lot more we can dive into, but, shot execution, stabilizer setups, and the other thing is just tracking progress and seeing what it'll do for, making adjustments and the pin float that I get on target, and creating consistency. That's some of the biggest things that, just flat out being a bow hunter, what shooting paper can teach you. You don't need a big old target bow like I have here. I don't care what your scores are. Take your hunting bow, your hunting arrows, shoot a score of 200. It doesn't really matter, but track the consistency. And that can really teach you a lot about your setups and your shot execution.
So here's off-camera, invisible guy voice right here. But we want to ask a couple questions as far as, first off, coming from hunting background, been doing it for a couple years, and you're looking to maybe step up your game. Maybe you missed an animal this last year. Maybe you didn't, and you just simply want to find a way to keep archery fun in the off season, during the snowy weather, during maybe you live in the freezing cold up north, whatever. Why 20 yards indoors? How is that even important? How does that translate to, going after an animal in a tree stand or up in the mountains?
Yeah, so I mean, to me, it goes back to the shot execution side of things. To me, archery's life for everybody around here. We shoot 24/7, 365. And honestly, I wish more guys would, because, bow hunting's what got me into this. Bow hunting will always be my number one thing. But at the end of the day, I'm still an archer. I love archery. And so I don't want to put my bow down just because there's 2 feet of snow outside, So shooting, paper at 20 yards, it teaches you at some point when you really get into it, it'll teach you that it's okay to see my pin movement on target and just execute through that. It's no different than shooting at an animal. Animal comes in, you get to full draw, you're all jacked up and shaking. Well, it'll teach you that it's all right to see the pin moving around, and as long as you can still perform and execute a really good, clean shot and stay conscious in that scenario, paper has really taught me a lot about that. And, my confidence level of shooting at animals now is higher than it ever has been. And, I click and see certain distances in my rangefinder. It's not a question of if I'm going to take them home or not. I mean, we're going to cut a tag at that point.
That's awesome. No, that's good. And again, it seems so easy for people, when they hear, oh, it's only 20 yards punching a paper target. But something, that I've learned in my time is just hitting targets here at 20 yards indoors, maybe a flat range, whatever. It definitely helps because paper doesn't lie. You can go back and look at the target afterwards and see you either have a shotgun pattern or you're punching a donut hole through it. And it's not as easy as it sounds. And so, I personally would challenge anyone to come out here and take advantage of the range here at Wilde Arrow to do that as well. But with that being said, what are some other things, in a controlled environment, you get rid of the wind, you get rid of puffy layers that you may have on, you get rid of pretty much all the variables that could be out there except for you and your bow. What are some things that people should be looking for, again, whether it's a target rig or a hunting rig, when they're shooting paper at close distances?
First things first, Jonathan kind of mentioned this. Paper don't lie, man. Be honest with yourself. You're not ever going to improve anything if you're not honest with yourself. And if you shake a shot and you shoot a 7 or you shoot a 6, man, that sucks. But here's, what it's going to do is teach you that, hey, okay, I got a problem. If you're shanking that shot at 20 yards, what is it going to do at 50, 60 yards for you when you're bow hunting? So, there's no reason to not be honest with yourself. Don't rob yourself of that, because it will create consistency. A lot of people think, well, man, it's 20 yards. This is easy. How hard can it be? I mean, even with this and big old, 27 diameter target arrows, it's freaking hard. It's 30 arrows, 3 arrows per end of consistency, pure consistency. One little bobble and boom, you're out of it. You shoot a 9. And that's just in practice. Put it into a tournament scenario. I have shaken more standing in the line in Vegas than I ever have shooting at an animal. It is a different environment, but what shooting in tournaments and getting good at shooting in tournaments has done for me out in the field bow hunting is incredible. I've never had the confidence that I have in the last 5 years if it wasn't for target archery and honestly punching paper. 3D is great. 3D will teach you a lot about shot angles, your equipment, the importance of third axis for that matter. 3D has its place and its own importance, but 20 yards indoors punching paper is so critical in creating the consistency and building the foundation that you really shouldn't skimp over it.
No, perfect. So something else I know people are going to ask about your beautiful green bow there that happens to just match that awesome hat, which I'm going to keep hitting on hats, guys. You're going to hear me talk about this, but Wilde Arrow's got some awesome hats. You should check them out. With that bow, go through the setup just briefly. You don't have to go in depth, but why you chose what you've chosen, from the bow itself to, the peep, the freak show that you've got on there, the bars, etc. From top to bottom, go through the setup real quick on your target setup there.
All right, I'll hit you quick because I could really dive into the weeds of this. So I'm running the Hoyt Concept X37. Kind of a whole new cam system for him this year. Spectra cam, I'm running the spec mods. It gives me more of that SVX type feel that I'm used to. I'm also running their tweener let-off foots. So right now I am at 72.5 if I'm correct. I could be wrong. Pretty sure I'm 72.5 on my let-off. I can change that to get the holding weight that I want to. I'm also running it in the soft wall. I like a little bit of give. Is I'm pulling into the shot to help slow up my pin movement. So I like a softer wall overall for most setups. I'm running True Ball Achieve Shrewd Scope with an E-Tac light hooked up to it. Probably one of my favorite lights I've ever had. I've played with a pile of them out there. I'm running AAE Freak Show QD. The reason I kind of went with the QD, generally speaking, when I was, trying to travel a little bit, I had a 3D bow, and then I had what I'd call my target bow, whether it was indoors, outdoor target. I had different bows built for different reasons. We're just so busy at the shop nowadays, and I'm doing 10 times more than what I was, that to me it's easy. I only want to have to maintain one bow right now. So what I can do is I can pop this. I can have this rest set up super tuned for my Super Drive 23s for 3D. I can pop this off, throw my other rest on for my outdoor arrows, my Easton X10s. I can pop that one off and put my other rest on that I have tuned for my aluminum 2712s from Easton. So kind of gives me a lot of universal changing between setups, but maintaining one bow. It's pretty difficult to maintain a lot of bows for target archery at a high level. I'm running True Ball Excel bars. These are their older version. Hopefully one of these days I'm going to get something new. I might try some of the Easton Halcyon stabilizers, but we'll see where I end up. And then Hamsky quick change weights. They make everything a breeze. I like that I can lock them in. I don't got to worry about them falling off. A lot of guys I'm seeing, they aren't actually locking their weights down. When I got a baseline of weights that I'm going to be running, I can lock those in. They ain't going anywhere. They don't fall off on me. And honestly, I feel like it actually dampens a little bit of vibration in the bow setup, which to me isn't a big deal. I like a little bit of feedback. So that's kind of why some of the things that I'm running on my setup.
That's awesome. And then I guess for the hunters out there that, again, may or may not be shooting in the outdoors, depending on how they want to brave the weather. I know I personally sometimes shoot when there's a lot of wind, just to, if I'm having a good day and don't really care too much, I'll shoot in the wind. But for the most part, I don't recommend people sighting in or any of that when it's a big windy day. So what do you say about blank bailing for hunters? Or again, if they want to come in here, as long as obviously the shop is open the range is generally open for people to be able to come in here and shoot. But for the hunter specifically in the off season, how important is it to blank bail? In, obviously safely, but in their home with a good solid target, if they can in the garage, if they can't make it out to an actual range or something to blank bail.
Blank bailing for me, it's never a bad thing. Everything you can do to help sharpen your axe is going to create, more consistency, and is going to benefit you for when it actually matters. We're out in the field bow hunting. So for me, like I still blank bail. It's not as much as I used to. I don't get a lot of target panic flare-ups. Some years I kind of commit to command shooting, and some years I'm committed to a controlled shot. It just kind of depends how I'm feeling and what my brain's working on. I've been command shooting for the last 3 years. It's right now I'm holding the pin steadier on target, and I'm actually getting better results right now if I'm running more of what I'd call a controlled shot. To me, the whole blank bailing thing kind of depends where you're at in your scenarios. It's not a bad thing. If you've both been in the case for a few months, pull it out, just start blank bailing. Get everything flowing in your brain again. Get the shot execution down before you start worrying about shooting at a target pace. Everybody jumps into things sometimes a little too quick, and that's where we get these target panic flare-ups. Archery's not fun at that point. If you haven't shot for a while, break the bow out, come into the shop. We got targets we can bring up nice and close. You can literally just stand here and blank bail as long as you want to. It's good to get the processes flowing. What was the other part of that?
Well, that's essentially it. Just blank bailing may seem a little, repetitive or whatever, but it's better than nothing. Again, for people that may not be able to make it down to the shop or to a range, still, again, safely, obviously recommending being safe.
Don't shoot arrows through your windows.
Exactly, through windows or your walls or don't shoot into a room where there's people. Still be safe about it. But if you have a good solid target, setting it to just a couple feet in front of you, not even worrying about aiming. The importance of understanding where your baseline is and getting those repetitions is better than zero.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Is there anything else, Mark, you wanted to drop in here before we close this out?
That's really about it, man. I mean, get your bows out of your cases, knock the dust off of them, and start shooting. Archery is 365, people. We don't need to just shoot in July. Get shooting now.
I love it. Awesome, guys. Well, there's Mark, Wilde Arrow. Come on down to the shop. We'd love to see you guys, whether, again, you're getting a new bow or not. Come and check things out, and I can guarantee you the guys down here are not going to sell you something you don't need. Don't feel pressured when you come down here. Come and enjoy the shop. Get some reps in with your bow, and as we say here, get wild.